So before I start talking anything substantial around these topics, let us understand what we should do with respect to the essay paper. Now, the mindset of UPSC is more or less clear that the questions will be philosophical in nature. So unless you have depth of arguments when you are presenting your answers in the essay paper, you are not going to gain marks. The length of essay matters, but more than that, the depth of essay matters. If you are writing a philosophical essay and you have written, say, 850, 900 words, but it has excellent depth, you'll gain more rather than going for 1100, 1200 words and it's a shallow essay. Okay. So all the topics, as we can see in the 2023 mains examination essay paper, all of them are philosophical in nature. And I have said this n number of times in my classes, essay classes and ethics classes, कि तैयार हो जाओ philosophical topics के लिए, क्योंकि यही आने वाला है. UPSC also knows that students read a lot GS 1, 2 and 3 kind of topics, and therefore they can write extensively on it. So it is important to test their depth of argument by throwing before them philosophical topics. तो चलो एक बार देख लेते हैं हम quickly सारे topics. पहला टॉपिक जो सेक्शन ए का है, थिंकिंग इज लाइक अ गेम, इट डज नॉट बिगिन अनलेस देयर इज एन ऑपोजिट टीम. द टॉपिक इज थिंकिंग इज लाइक अ गेम, इट डज नॉट स्टार्ट अनलेस देयर इज एन ओपोनेंट. नाउ व्हाट इज थिंकिंग? पहले तो आपको यह समझना पड़ेगा. थिंकिंग इज अनलीशिंग योर कॉग्निटिव एबिलिटी to develop some ideas or to form some opinions. That is thinking. And when you think, you also try to outthink your opponents. You think always with respect to achieving some objective. It could be a spiritual objective, economic objective, any kind of objective. And when you are struggling with your spiritual growth, then the opponent is your own ego, say for example. So unless we have a reference point, we will not be able to think. That is what this topic is conveying. Think of this. You are in a war. So if you want to think about war stratagems, war planning, you need an opponent. If suppose you are building a team, then how to gain skills, what kind of trainings to be undertaken must be done only after looking at the opponents and what they are doing. Then only you can match the skill set. Think of business. There also, if you want to compete, you must have an opponent. And therefore, the thinking thing does not start unless there is an opponent. So this topic clearly highlights this thing, that thinking is like a game. In economics, there is a theory called the game theory. Now, in that game theory, what happens is, ऐसे सोचकर देखो, ये पूरी जो इकोनॉमी है वो एक गेम की तरह है और जितने भी इकोनॉमिक एक्टर्स हैं वो अपने दाव खेल रहे हैं. तो कोई सक्सेसफुल होगा, कोई नहीं होगा. Like say for example, 100 people starting their startups, but only one becoming a unicorn and 99 failing. So what kind of decisions do they take? Those who are successful. और इसी से मिलता जुलता एक टॉपिक और भी है जिसके बारे में मैं बात करूंगा. पर ये पहला टॉपिक अगर आप देखोगे तो ये इस पे अगर आपको लिखना है तो सबसे पहले आपको थिंकिंग, इस आइडिया को बहुत बिल्ड करना पड़ेगा और आपको ये गेम पे बहुत ज्यादा फोकस देना पड़ेगा. तो आप गेम थ्योरी यूज कर सकते हो, लॉजिक इन गेम, रूल्स ऑफ गेम, प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ गेम, एडवांटेज इन गेम, what kind of tools you must have if you want to gain strategic advantage in game, and how can you improve your thinking, all those kind of things. When you are gauging an opponent, when you are evaluating the strengths and weaknesses of an opponent, what should you do? ये सारी चीजें आपको लिखनी थी इस essay में, ठीक है. Second, if you see, visionary decision making happens at the intersection of intuition and logic. So when you want to change the world, you have to have a vision with you. And visionary decision making is not based on any one particular thing. Like say for example, when we say logic means your analytical ability, it means your rational mind. You cannot have a vision only with the help of reason. In order to have a proper vision, you must have a good intersection between intuition and reason. You have to factor in both of them. Like say, for example, you are planning to start a project, and it will be a noble project, and it would be a novel project as well. Nobody knows that what you are going to do. Suppose you are making for the first time smartphones. Now you have no idea how the industry is going to respond to that, or how the market is going to behave to that smartphone. But you must have some intuition in you that if I launch this smartphone, it will change the technological landscape forever. So those people who are working in AI, those who are working in machine learning or industry 4.0 की जो हम बात करते हैं, they have to be visionary. तो आप ऐसे टेक्नोलॉजी में ले जा सकते हो इसको, आप पॉलिटी के सेंस में देख सकते हो कि अगर कंट्री को बिल्ड करना है तो उसमें भी विजन अगर हमको बिल्ड करना है तो हमको थोड़ा इंट्यूशन भी चाहिए. Intuition, what is intuition? You know, we have discussed this a number of times in our class with respect to meta ethics, and I told you that G.E. Moore or George Edward Moore, he based his logic on intuition, right? The open question argument. So intuition is your ability to get to a conclusion without the application of your conscious mind. That is intuition. This is sixth sense भी कई बार कहते हैं. ठीक है, तो वैसा ही है कि आपको लग रहा है कि हाँ ये चीज काम करेगी. अब उसके बाद क्या चाहिए आपको? बस आपको ये इंट्यूशन मिल जाए, उसके बाद आपको चाहिए एक रैशनल माइंड. यू डू नॉट रिक्वायर ओनली an emotional mindset. Say for example, you cannot only take decisions on the basis of feelings or emotions. You require a rational mind. You require data, you require proper analysis of data, you require proper information drawn from that data, then models, application of models, theories, all those things with respect to the data. And then you must create feedback mechanisms to improve your program every now and then. You have to keep the entire thing flexible. But सबसे पहले क्या चाहिए आपको? एक intuition चाहिए. Like say for example, here I am reminded of Phil Knight, the person who started Nike. He had a vision. While he was studying, he had a vision that he will make the greatest shoe company in this entire world. And he will give ordinary people the feeling of what athletes get. So his idea was to make the best track shoes. So this vision, it engulfed him throughout his life, and that's how he started it. There's a beautiful book called Shoe Dog where he mentions the entire journey. And there, if you read the initial pages of that book, you'll find out that he is talking about intuition, and then he is going to reason. So if you look at the first topic, thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. And when you think, you must have some vision as well. So all topics are somewhere interrelated, and that's the beauty of philosophy. The third topic is not all who wander are lost. Now, wandering could be senseless. Wandering could be senseful as well. See, India is a country of seekers. If you go from the ancient times, if you track down Indian history, you will find that India is full of seekers, be it Gautam Buddha or be it APJ Abdul Kalam. You go from Buddha to Kalam and you will find that everybody is seeking something. Wandering in the wilderness in the search of the Holy Grail is not a useless wandering. So when you wander, you must have a purpose behind why you are wandering. There's a beautiful book again by Hermann Hesse called Siddhartha, where he talks about how this person called Siddhartha, he wanders from place to place. He first falls by the attraction of material world, and then he wants to become an ascetic, and then he understands that neither of the extremes is working for him, and he adopts the Madhyam Marga or the Madhyamika Marga. The point is, why are you wandering? And wandering can be of different types. Like you are just moving from one place to another place, and then your mind is wandering. And the third kind of wandering could be you're wandering in the wilderness for the Holy Grail. It means you want to improve your soul. So you can talk about Vardhaman Mahavir here, how he wandered, You can talk about Gautam Buddha, how he wandered. You can talk about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, how he wandered. Swami Vivekananda, how he wandered. Abraham Lincoln, how he wandered. Martin Luther King Jr., how he wandered. Nelson Mandela, how he wandered. And you get a beautiful essay at the end. So this was a go-to topic, and I hope most of the people might have gone for this topic. Though these are still initial hours, we do not know, but my gut feeling says that most of the people might have gone for this topic. The fourth one is inspiration for creativity springs from the effort to look for the magical in the mundane. Like if you have to be creative, then you must look for something special in the ordinary. It means you have to find the extraordinary in the ordinary. That's what this topic is talking about. अब आप ऐसे सोच कर देखो. Like say for example, think of Virat Kohli. Now Virat Kohli decided that he will work on his fitness, and he left no stone unturned. Going to the gym, working every day was a mundane task. It's a routine work. But you see, because of his fitness today, he is ruling the sporting arena. It's because of his fitness that he outshines his competitors. So working out could be a mundane task. It could be a boring, routine work. But if you do that regularly, you can find magic in that. You can simply again think of those people who are working in multinational companies, sitting in cubicles, just doing coding, testing, etc. But they run the entire world. Today the entire world is driven by technology. So they do something which is very mundane in nature, but the output is magic for everybody. Do you get it? Now with the help of UPI transactions, you know how easy our life has become. You do not have to carry any currency notes or any wallet with you any longer. You just need your mobile phone and everything as is at your fingertips. So something which is very mundane, similarly think of constructive work which you are doing in the society, could look very mundane, could look very boring, very regular, but it will have long-term implication. Similarly, think of a person who is building a political party, think of a person who is building any kind of organization, think of a person who is developing a kind of philosophy. आप कैसे भी सोच कर देख सकते हो, ठीक है? So this essay, Inspiration for Creativity, springs from effort to look for the magical in the mundane. This essay was an excellent choice. वैसे तो चारों ही अच्छे हैं, but this was a very good choice because you get a lot of things to write in this essay. तो चाहे आप पहला देख लो, दूसरा देख लो, तीसरा देख लो, चौथा देख लो, चारों के चारों philosophical हैं. I have told this a number of times in my essay class कि आएगा तो philosophical ही चाहे कुछ भी कर लो, ठीक है? In the essay test series also, so many people said, sir, we are not writing the other topics so much as we should do. But I said that for now it seems that UPSC is going to ask only philosophical essays क्योंकि वो एक trend पता लग रहा है पिछले 2-3 सालों से कि philosophy की तरफ ज़्यादा जोर है. इसलिए ethics बहुत critical हो जाता है. अगर आप देखो ये सारे ऐसे लिख लेंगे वो सब लोग अच्छे से जिनका ethics बहुत strong है. तो section B की तरफ चलते हैं. Let's see what kind of topics have come in that section. Girls are weighed down by restrictions, boys with demands, two equally harmful disciplines. Now, this is nothing but reflection of Indian society, more or less. There are a lot of expectations from the girls and restrictions from on the girls, and whereas on the boys, there are a lot of demands that maybe you have to become the breadwinner for your family. Similarly, girls face restriction from the womb to the tomb. So you can understand restriction at every level, especially in some sections of the society at least. Financial restrictions, mobility related restrictions, social restrictions, political restrictions. There are so many restrictions that women face throughout their life. And similarly, boys, they face demands all the time that they have to contribute, they have to be the provider, they have to be the leader of the pack. All such kind of demands are imposed on boys. The topic says these two are equally harmful disciplines. We do not want to build a world where women are kept under restriction and boys are kept under expectations all the time, that you have to perform this, otherwise you are a failure. Similarly, girls should also not feel restricted all the time. So what should be the output of the arguments that you would raise in this essay? Finally, आप इसमें बहुत सारे examples तो दे सकते हो अपने हिसाब से, हिस्ट्री से ले लो, फिलॉसफी से ले लो, करंट अफेयर से ले लो, बहुत कुछ आप दे सकते हो इसमें. इंस्टीट्यूशन बेस्ड एग्जाम्पल हो सकते हैं, इंडिविजुअल बेस्ड एग्जाम्पल हो सकते हैं, फिलॉसफी बेस्ड एग्जाम्पल हो सकते हैं, आइडिया बेस्ड एग्जाम्पल हो सकते हैं, कैसे भी हो सकते हैं. बट अल्टीमेटली आपको कंक्लूड ऐसा ही करना चाहिए दैट नीदर रिस्ट्रिक्शन नॉर डिमांड. व्हाट वी वांट देन? वी वांट opportunities, empowerment, and we want justice. That is what we require. If we give boys and girls equally opportunity, empowerment, justice, and through justice, freedom. If you can give these three basic things to every individual, I'm repeating one more time. First is empowerment, second is justice, and third is freedom. If we can give this to everybody, we will be able to build a better world rather than putting unnecessary restrictions or demands. ठीक है, अगला देखो, mathematics is the music of reason. This is by James Joseph Sylvester, a famous mathematician. Albert Einstein ने भी वैसे बोला था that mathematics is like poetry with logic. समझ में आया? तो mathematics is the music of reason. First you have to understand the quote. What does mathematics actually means? Mathematics is the science of numbers. Mathematics is the science of shapes, science of angles, whatever you want to say. Now in music, you have, you can say, ऐसे आप बोल सकते हो, music is the mathematics of senses. समझ में आया? Music is the mathematics of senses. Similarly, mathematics is the music of reason. Mathematics में हो सकता है कोई वो ना हो, पेंटिंग ना हो, कलर्स ना हो, ऐसी चीजें ना हो, बट मैथमेटिक्स से आपको एक डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ सेटिस्फैक्शन या प्लेजर मिलता है. लाइक से फॉर एग्जांपल, थिंक ऑफ इसरोज मिशंस. दे आर इम्पॉसिबल विदाउट फाइंडिंग म्यूजिक इन मैथमेटिक्स. तो आप इसमें बहुत सारा एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हो, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम आर्यभट्ट टू रामानुजन टू एवरीबडी इन द वर्ल्ड एंड डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, लाइक how it helps, mathematics helps in different sectors like defense, space, engineering, etc. And you should write that how mathematics should be, or mathematical mind should be the base for a rational mind. Because when you are talking about reason, you are talking about objectivity, and mathematics is one such discipline which is full of objectivity. Mathematics does not have a lot of subjectivity. There are some subjectivity, mostly with related to those kind of theorems or formulas which have not been proved so far. But most of the things that have been proved, mathematics is fully an objective discipline. And rational mind means an objective mind. तो ऐसे टॉपिक जब आते हैं, तो अगर ऐसा लिखा हुआ है ऐसे, मैथमेटिक्स इज द म्यूजिक ऑफ रीजन, और आपने ऐसे कंक्लूड कर दिया लाइक म्यूजिक इज द मैथमेटिक्स ऑफ सेंसेस, सिमिलरली मैथमेटिक्स कुड बी कंसिडर्ड एज म्यूजिक ऑफ रीजन. सो इट हैज अ लॉट ऑफ influence on the evaluator. Again, a philosophical topic. The seventh topic was, a society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. Now here you can invoke scholars like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, etc. And Plato की Republic याद आती है मुझे यहाँ पर, where he is intensely going into the debate of what is justice. General understanding of justice is giving every person their due share. So when you give every person their due share, they feel lesser impoverishment or deprivation. And when they feel lesser impoverishment or deprivation, then the society at large, or philanthropists in the society, they do not have to come forward and do charity. Charity is done for whom? For the less privileged ones. And if you can ensure that justice flows throughout the length and breadth of the land, and without discrimination it is allocated to every person, then the requirement of charity, or the necessity of charity to that extent, will be diminished. Do you get that? So that's why justice becomes a critical factor when we are talking about how to build a society. A society that is unjust, a society which is full of injustices, that kind of society will have large kind of schisms. it could be economic schism, social schism, it could be any kind of divisions, cleavages in the society, and that's why there would be a lot of requirement of the helping hand for those who are less fortunate or more underprivileged. And that's what this topic beautifully sums up. हाउ कैन वी बिल्ड जस्टिस, तो ऐसे में लिखना मोस्टली यही था, जस्टिस होता क्या है, जस्टिस के फॉर्म्स क्या हैं, जस्टिस को बना के रखने के लिए क्या रूल्स चाहिए हमको, और जस्टिस को एनफोर्स करने के लिए क्या करना है हमको. देन चैरिटी क्यों जरूरत होती है किसी सोसाइटी में, चैरिटी के फॉर्म्स क्या हैं, और जस्टिस और चैरिटी को फिर लिंक करना था लास्ट में. ठीक है, you can use say quotes like justice delayed is justice denied, or injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. इस तरीके के कुछ quotes आप use कर सकते थे. And the last one is education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. Remember, Mark Twain once said that I have never allowed schooling to destroy my education or interfere with my education. So here you have to highlight what education is actually. Education is gaining a kind of self-awareness. That is education. Education does not have an instrumentalist value only. Instrumentalist value मतलब आपको education मिल गई, अब आप उस education के basis पे कोई job लेना चाह रहे हैं. सिर्फ education का यही मतलब नहीं है. You have to differentiate here between education, learning, literacy. ये तीनों चीजों का फर्क आपको बताना है. Education is when you develop yourself into your better form. That is education. When you rise to your higher self, that is education. Education is when you gain awareness. A beautiful example here could be quoted about Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. He never attended formal education or formal schooling rather, but he was highly educated. What are the hallmarks of an educated mind? आपको ये भी बताना था यहाँ पर. What are the flaws in the schooling system, and how the present schooling system worldwide, how it restricts innovative thinking, critical approach, question asking ability, all those kind of things. और आपको ये बताना था कि एजुकेशन के कितने फॉर्म हो सकते हैं, एजुकेशन का असली वैल्यू क्या है, और अगर आप एजुकेटेड हैं तो आपका बिहेवियर कैसा होगा. You can use so many scholars here, St. Thomas Aquinas, Swami Vivekananda, and you name it, John Rawls. You can use John Stuart Mill, Saint Thiruvalluvar. आप बहुत सारे scholars यहाँ पर use कर सकते हो जिन्होंने education के बारे में बहुत कुछ लिखा है. Kautilya से for example, he has written extensively on education. And see, at the end आप ये link कर सकते हो education और ignorance, और knowing your ignorance is also a kind of education. You can use Socrates there, you can use other scholars there as well. तो अगर हम देखें इस पूरे ऐसे पेपर को, तो सारे के सारे ऐसे philosophical, और मुझे नहीं लगता that students might have faced, those who have prepared well the philosophical topics, they might have faced a lot of problems while writing the essay paper. अगर मैं बोलूं सेक्शन 1 से तो रिलेटिवली आसान ये थर्ड टॉपिक था. नॉट ऑल हु वॉन्डर आर लॉस्ट, इस पे लोगों ने लिखा होगा, या तो फिर ये फोर्थ वाले पे लिखा होगा मोस्टली इंस्पिरेशन फॉर क्रिएटिविटी स्प्रिंग्स फ्रॉम एफर्ट टू लुक फॉर द मैजिकल इन द मंडेन, दो अदर्स माइट हैव ऑप्टेड फॉर अदर टॉपिक्स एज वेल, बट दिस वाज रिलेटिवली इजी. And in section B, if I have to pick one, then maybe fifth topic जो है, girls are weighed down by restrictions, boys with demands, two equally harmful disciplines. लेकिन क्या मुश्किल फेस हुई होगी? देखो ऐसे में एक ही थॉट को सस्टेन करना होता है ओवर 1000-1200 वर्ड्स. इट इज नॉट लाइक जीएस की 250 वर्ड में या 150 वर्ड में आपने कंप्लीट कर दिया उसको. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. So you have to be innovative every time with every line. Every line should be distinct from the other line. And the chain of ideas should not be broken anywhere while you are discussing your essay in the paper. So that's why it becomes critical. It is imperative for us that we prepare essay also with a philosophical bend of mind. और जिनके philosophy पे थोड़ी सी inclination है philosophy को लेकर, और जिनको अच्छा लगता है philosophy, उनके लिए तो बिल्कुल चांदी है ये पेपर, आप कह सकते हो, and they might have done excellently well.